I'm a 32-year-old female, and this is something that happened to me only 2 nights ago. My husband, Kevan, and I were on the porch, smoking a cigarette. It was about 9 o'clock at night. We live far out in the woods, right off a stretch of highway between 2 interstate exits. We were looking up at the stars, enjoying the quiet atmosphere of the crickets, glad to have a temporary relief from all the usual traffic noise. I heard something and shushed my husband, even though he hadn't said anything. Was that screaming? Yes, it was a woman screaming like nothing I had ever heard before. It sounded like she was being murdered. In between blood-chilling screams, she was shouting, "Help me! Help me!" I looked at my husband. We were both really freaked out. The more she screamed, the closer she got to the house. I could eventually see a figure running along the median of the highway, making their way closer to the part of the highway in front of our house. Our house is a good distance from our driveway, but not far enough that you can't see anything. If we could see her, that meant she could see us. We have no yard security lights, which I know is stupid. So we were in complete darkness. We could still see the highway perfectly fine due to the house across from us, which still had their Christmas lights up. I threw my cigarette in my yard and backed up to stand in the doorway of the house, pulling out my phone to call 911. She was still in the median of the road, screaming. If anyone else in the surrounding houses heard her, they pretended like they didn't. Kevan ran past me inside to get his jacket and shoes. I told him not to go out there, but he ignored me and got dressed anyway. As soon as he was out of sight, I saw a red car speed up the road and pull over next to where the lady was. With her in the median, there was still a stretch of highway between them. There was a man driving, and I couldn't see what he looked like. I only heard his voice. He was yelling that he was going to kill her and calling her a bitch. It looked like he was throwing stuff at her out of the window, maybe clothes? As soon as she saw him pull over, she started running straight towards our yard. By that time, I was already on the phone with the police officers, but as I said, I live out in the woods, pretty far out of town, so it would take them a bit to get there. I yelled for my husband. I told my 9-year-old son to go into our room where the baby is and close the door. He could hear the whole thing and was pretty frightened. My husband ran out onto the porch and into the yard towards her. He asked if she was okay, and she said that she had gotten a ride home from this guy, and halfway down the road, he started acting really creepy. He refused to let her out where she told him to and kept driving with her in the car. She looked behind her seat, pretending to look at a car behind them, and saw a roll of duct tape. Fearing for her life, she jumped out of the moving car and just started running down the road, screaming for help. Kevan started to lead her towards the house and, by now, was also on the phone calling the police, having gathered more information that I wasn't able to give them when I had called. They told him to stay on the line with them until an officer showed up. He led her into the house, and her face looked terrible. She was red and bleeding in a couple of spots, road rash from when she had jumped out. She also said that he had hit her before she was able to escape. She came in, and we locked our door, knob, deadbolt, and chain. We stood together near the window, waiting for the police to show up, Kevan giving updates and answering questions on the phone. No, they haven't gotten here yet. Yes, his car is still parked across the highway. It's a red sedan in front of a house with lots of blue porch Christmas lights, he told them. I was trying not to lose my composure when there was a loud bang on our door. The man was yelling, "I know you're in there. I saw you running. The people in there can't protect you." I shouted through the door that he needed to leave our property and, if he was smart, get in his car and drive off. I told him we were on the phone with the police. The answer he gave was the worst one I could ever hear. He said, "Go ahead, call the police. I don't care. They won't be here in time." Bang 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 on the door over and over. The woman was freaking out and crying, saying, "Help me, please help me," over and over again. I ran to the kitchen to get a large knife, just in case. We had a huge solid iron door, but our windows were easily breakable. If he wanted to get in badly enough, he certainly could. My husband came from our bedroom with his gun when a squad car pulled up in the yard, with 2 more following behind it and 1 across the street where his car was. He took off on foot running. They tended to the woman and got her home safely. Turns out she lives across the highway from us, 5 houses to the left. It had been 2 hours later, and they still hadn't found him. There are a lot of places to hide in these woods, and I just hope he hides far away from here.